morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lauren Berm, Head of Public Affairs for Ørsted, one of the partners of Bay State Wind. Today you'll hear from Bay State Wind, our partners at BCC, Mass Maritime, and 3 local labor unions, the International Brother of Electrical Workers, the Utility Workers of America and its Power for America Initiative, and the Iron Workers. They're all joining us today for a very exciting announcement for our plans of the establishment of a new offshore wind training facility right here in New Bedford. That training center will prepare future generations to work in the offshore wind industry, which we are very, very excited about. We are grateful for the support that we've received along the way from many of you that are here today, including Mayor Mitchell, Representative Cabral, who's here somewhere. Right there? Okay. Thank you. As well as others from the legislature, including Representative Haddad, Senator Montigny, and Rodriguez, and also Senator Pacheco. These folks have all been instrumental in helping to push through the legislation that enabled us to be here today for this exciting announcement. So again, today we're here to announce the training center, but also to reaffirm Bay State Wind's commitment to powering New Bedford with offshore wind and making New Bedford the hub for the offshore wind industry via our operations and maintenance facility. In addition, we're also committing to using Massachusetts workers to build the industry right here in New Bedford. So I'm going to move along to the rest of our program, and I'd like to invite Ken Bowes from Eversource to say a few words.
Thank you, Lauren. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here in New Bedford. In my role as Vice President of Transmission Performance for Eversource, I'm responsible for overseeing the reliability of much of the region's high-voltage transmission system that crisscrosses our states here in New England. The region's transmission system is the backbone of the electric grid, with millions of residents and businesses relying on it to power their lives every day. As you can imagine, running such a vast network, transmission structures, lines, and substations, which carry upwards of 345,000 volts of electricity every second of every day, is no small task. To be successful in that requires coordination, cooperation at every level of our industry, and it wouldn't be successful without the professionalism, expertise, and dedication of our workers. Equally important on the local level are the workers who maintain and upgrade the poles and wires that deliver electricity to our homes. As we experienced in this last March, Mother Nature often has a lot to say about our electric power reliability. And when storms strike with all their fury, we all count on these dedicated men and women to go out into horrible conditions and begin rebuilding our distribution system as safely and as quickly as possible. I'd like to turn now to many of you in the room today who've worked tirelessly for years to bring offshore to the region. I commend and salute your efforts. Without the groundwork of the marine terminal facilities, the regulatory framework established by the legislature, and the vision that local leaders have had for economic development, today would not be a reality. I truly believe that this is the right time and the right place for offshore wind in New Bedford. It will be a catalyst in the development of a new industry in America. I would like to recognize our partner in Bay State Wind, Ørsted, the leader in global offshore wind development, who continues to bring innovation in wind turbine technology, knowledge in building a local supply chain, and logistics expertise, and also a company that shares Eversource vision of clean water, clean air, and clean energy. You will hear this morning from several labor unions, and I would like to recognize their leadership in our efforts to bring offshore wind projects forward. Our deepening relationship is built upon respect, mutual interest in worker safety, and bringing high-skilled, clean energy jobs to America. The future is bright for offshore wind in the United States and right here in Massachusetts, and we're excited about our role in it. The importance of building our project using qualified, well-trained workers is key to our success. At Eversource, we have a long-standing relationship of teamwork and mutual respect with the unions whose members design, construct, and maintain our facilities. Our commitment to the unions, great customer service, quality workmanship, and worker safety is critical to getting our job done every day. And we're thrilled that we'll be working together as we move forward in the development of clean energy here in the Commonwealth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. I'd now like to invite Mayor Mitchell to come up, but first, just, I did mention today wouldn't have been possible without several folks that are here, but I know you've been at this for many, many years, long before I joined the offshore wind industry, and we really can't thank you enough for being so supportive and helpful and being here today with us on this very exciting announcement for your city. So, please.
Thank you,
You're
Laura.
welcome.
All right, good morning, everybody. So I just can't help but reach for the some of the metaphors that are reflected in this very building. So we're in this was an oil refinery, this building we're in right now. And I think a lot of you know that, maybe not everybody, and it's really, an appropriate place to talk about New Bedford's leadership in an emerging energy industry in the years ahead. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking today about New Bedford's many-year effort to plant its flag in the offshore wind industry, and we're talking also about really what this is all about, and that is creating opportunity for folks in our city and beyond. And so there were lots of people to thank, and I want to talk a little bit about, specifics, but there are lots of folks to thank, but I do want to thank Ørsted, Lauren, thank you, and thank you extended to Thomas Brostrom, who I understand couldn't be here today, and I want to thank Eversource for its partnership. We work hand in glove with Eversource on many fronts, and this is yet another one opening up, and so we look forward to the work ahead. And as a former employee of Commonwealth Electric, and as a former, right, Phil, and as a former member of the Utility Workers of America, which we'll talk about in a second, it's great to be connected with you guys again in this way. What we're trying to do, so we've been at the offshore wind thing for a while, and there was a time, and it's like when you mentioned years going by, for me, it's like, geez, I've been in this job for a while now. But right from the start, we recognized that in order for the city and this part of the state to grow its economy sustainably in the long run, we had to play our cards well, right? That we had to, you dealt. Every region has certain strengths, and our economic development strategy has always been about accentuating those strengths, right? You can't be everything, but the things you are good at, you got to be really good at them. And for us, it's the water. It's the connection to the sea that is the very reason why New Bedford and Greater New Bedford, and frankly all of southeastern Massachusetts, exists in the first place, because this is a place where that competitive economic advantages exist for businesses that go out to sea. So whether it's whaling, whether it's shipping, whether it's ferry services, and of course commercial fishing, all true, and now offshore wind, among others. So that's what we've been driving again and again and again and again. And we sit here today very with a sense of gratitude that it's starting to really come together for us, and it's been through the hard work of many, many folks. And I'm going to be remiss if I miss some people here, and I'm going to name a few. But the point is this: that New Bedford can't just be seen as a place where certain industries take root. It has to be seen as a leader. So we're a leader in fishing, hands down. We want to be that leader in offshore wind as well, and the training center is going to allow us to do that, to prepare folks for good union jobs right here for the foreseeable future, and that's so exciting to us. So lots of folks to thank. Let me just start with our economic development director, Derek Santos, and the work with the New Bedford Wind Energy Center. And so Derek's been there. This is all part of the larger strategy of economic development in New Bedford, the port, and beyond the port and in the port itself. So Derek and Ed Washburn, our port director, who couldn't be here today, who's Pamela Lafreniere is, from the Port of New Bedford is standing in for him, but they've worked very hard at this for a long time. There are our partners in the legislature, Tony Cabral and Pat Haddad and a number of others who've been right there along the way to support the idea that New Bedford really could be a leader in this industry. And so, it's a great day for our legislative delegation as well. And Tony has been steadfast and at every turn, not just in supporting offshore wind in particular, but the creation of good union jobs as well. Rick Kidder, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, drank the Kool-Aid right away on offshore wind, fair to say, and he's been pounding that drum, ever since. Bob Unger in his past life and his current life as in the private sector has been a tremendous champion of an evangelist of offshore wind, very much so. Congressman Keating, who's represented today, again by the Trombley family, and of course Deborah from the EDC. This is getting a little incestuous here, but no, my good friends, all the Trombleys have been huge champions. Our folks in higher ed, Anthony Ucci's here on behalf of Bristol Community College, Laura Douglas, Steve Lorenz from SMAST, all going to be part of the mix as well. Our friends in the Coast Guard and others who protect the marine environment as well. Jim Oliveira, our director of the Workforce Investment Board, formerly City Council from Ward 1. It's a long list of folks. And then, of course, there are our representatives from all of the trade unions that will be part of this. The IBEW, of course, the iron workers. It's great to see when the iron workers are here. There's something going up, right? So that's really encouraging to see as well. And I forgot to mention Mass Maritime. I want to save my special thanks for my very good friend Phil Trombley, who. To call Phil indomitable is an understatement. Phil and I go all the way back to the Cannon Street station some 25 years ago when I was a lazy college student, and he was actually moving heaven and earth on behalf of his members in the Utility Workers of America, not just here, but eventually became the national president. And he was asked to jump in and shepherd this effort, and as soon as I heard about that, I was like, well, watch out. And then sure enough, Phil jumped right on in, and he's got, not only is he, he has the courage to jump in and get stuff done, but he has the savvy of someone who knows how to just connect the dots and to know, who's making decisions and what those decisions are going to be motivated by, and to put it all together. And so it's a big day for him, and I'm just so proud that, and proud of him, but also just very grateful that we're lucky that Phil got himself involved in this effort. So this is a good thing for New Bedford. It really is, and to be seen as a place where as the center of action, that's what we're looking for. We know there will be plenty of other ports that will be involved. We don't. We're not for a moment think that we're going to be the only one out there, but it is important right now as the first mover in this industry to stake our claim and say, yes, this is going to happen. And the training center is a really big pillar of that effort. So congratulations, everybody. This is going to be really good. I know that the procurement process is not done yet. It's still a couple of weeks out, but we know that Ørsted is committed to Massachusetts and New Bedford either way, and so we're just so pleased that the training center is going to be one part of that. So Lauren, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I like to refer to Phil as the godfather of offshore wind. So that's his new nickname. But I'd like now to invite Rep. Cabral to come up and give a few words.
Well, good morning. I thought I would bring a color coordinated with the Bay State Wind, so it would fit right into the press conference this morning. Let me thank Lauren and all of you for being here. This is really an exciting day for us in New Bedford and for us in Massachusetts. I mean, it's taken a few years to get to this point, but I think we knew right along that we were going to be here today because we worked very hard, not only with the previous state administration, Governor Patrick, and his investment, and believed that New Bedford was the right location for the commerce terminal that was built with $113 million of state investment, but also all the work that we did to make sure that the offshore wind industry would actually be based out of New Bedford, out of Massachusetts. We worked very hard to put a piece of legislation together. If I quickly give you a little history of that, one of the things that always puzzled us, or at least myself, was after all the investment that the Patrick administration had done in New Bedford around the commerce terminal, they tried to, they did file legislation, they tried to pass a piece of legislation that would go to address the clean energy in Massachusetts without including offshore wind. I can tell you that was a non-starter from day one. We worked very hard myself. Representative had that in this whole delegation in New Bedford and Fall River and South Coast, if I may, to make sure that piece of legislation would not pass that particular session. It didn't. And then that fall, we worked extremely hard to try to actually put a piece of legislation together that would address what we thought would be the needs of Massachusetts, not only in terms of hydro, but in terms of offshore wind in particular, because that's what we thought where we could grow a new industry in Massachusetts. So I spent, myself and Representative Haddad, we spent the whole fall after that meeting with the various folks from Eversource to Offshore Wind to the Environmental League of Massachusetts and all those in between. And then we crafted two pieces of legislation. One was the big comprehensive bill that Representative Haddad was the lead sponsor, and I was the lead co-sponsor, and then a separate bill that talked about procurement and how much we should procure at the beginning, and that would allow actually procurements of up to 800 megawatts, right? That language then migrated and made part of the eventual piece of legislation that we finally passed and that was signed by Governor Charlie Baker. And that's precisely what's being, hopefully on the 23rd, whatever happens, be 400, be 800, at least if there is a possibility of 800, it's because of that other second piece of legislation that I filed as the lead sponsor and Representative Haddad as the lead co-sponsor. So I'm delighted to be here today, not only because of all those facts, but I think seeing all the partners in this room come together around offshore wind and really beginning to put together a training center that involves all our good union folks. You know, be New Bedford or be Massachusetts, union workers have always been a very important part of growing jobs, quality jobs, of making things happen the right way, be a building or otherwise, or roads or bridges. They've always been part of the workforce and a very important piece of that workforce in Massachusetts, and in New Bedford in particular, in the South Coast. So I'm glad that Bay State Wind and all the other players are here today to really make this announcement that be the iron workers, be IBW and other workers or other union workers are going to be part of this project, and they're going to be part of building offshore wind in the United States of America. And I think there's no place better than New Bedford, right? As the mayor said, you are sitting in a place that used to be an oil refinery. Well, we don't need this refinery anymore. But again, we're going to be at the place that we were at that period of time in New Bedford. And hopefully we'll become, in its this will be the third opportunity, I believe, for New Bedford to be one of the richest, wealthiest communities in Massachusetts and also in the country, like it was twice in its history. So I think we have here a great opportunity, be from Bristol Community College. When Phil first met with me about this issue, he said, "Don't tell anybody. I'm just talking to some folks." So I said, "Okay, I won't tell anybody." But from that day on, I knew there was something really that if anybody could pull it off, Phil could pull this off. And someone who represented so well the utility workers of America certainly had the right skills and the right contacts to, especially in the union movement and otherwise, to really put this together. So thank you to all of you. I know I see Steve Deere from Mass Mast. There will be also an important component of the offshore wind, and making sure that the fishing industry also is one that doesn't pay a price for this new development. So thank you all. Thank you for being here. And congratulations, and let's go forward. Hopefully by the 23rd we have some good news that makes everybody in this room and in this region one happy place, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. I'd now like to ask Mike Moynihan from the IBEW to step up.
Thank you, and it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate Bay State Wind and Orsted Eversource, of course, for inviting me to speak. I don't know, the mayor, I think maybe this is the best place to have this event, being an old oil refinery. Maybe if it was coal, it would be a little better. But as I said, my name is Mike Moynihan. I'm the Vice President of the 2nd District of the IBW's districts, which is the region of New England for all the branches of New England. Things change, and some people don't like change, but this is certainly good change for our area. We're looking forward to it. We're excited about it. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, the utility workers, and the iron workers. We're over 100 years in the building and maintaining of electrical generation, whether it be coal, oil, gas, and other than solar, there has to be movement of some sort with a turbine to generate electricity. And we've moved or graduated, so to speak, to now wind is going to be the power. Clean, efficient, certainly free, and that will now spin these turbines to generate electricity where it used to use coal and oil and gas. And we're excited about that for a whole bunch of reasons. But all three organizations have history and experience on installing turbines, maintaining them as we generate electricity. And the IBW and the utility workers take that generated electricity through transmission and send it out at very high voltages, as Ken said, and then step down to people's homes. So we're excited about this new type of generation. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts decision to invest in offshore wind energy brings a number of benefits to the citizens of our state, and one of the most important is the opportunity to create these good jobs. And those three organizations I met with employers, great employers, like Eversource and the company the mayor worked for, those are businesses that employ people that have health care, they have retirement plans, they make decent wages so they can raise their families, spend money in the community, and it's a circle. It's a big circle that just keeps reinvesting in the community. So we're excited about these new jobs, and they're jobs now, and these are jobs for decades into the future. Offshore wind development is a new industry for our state and our nation. We know parts of the world have been using it for years, but the wind training program that we're creating today establishes a foundation for these good U.S. jobs. All three organizations have training programs, and this is just another step to take those qualified people and to train them on water, so to speak. We've been installing wind turbines on land, and now it's just a little different being on the water. But we're excited about, one, taking those jobs, training a new generation of workers who will now take this different form of generation into the future. All of the partners to this program recognize that Massachusetts and the United States have the best skilled workers, and by training these workers at the early stages of offshore wind development in the country, we not only give them the skills they need for the future, but also to position the emerging U.S. offshore wind industry to see greater advancement with the world's best skilled workers. We know we have the best workers. We have American ingenuity, and as we've said to the development team, we certainly don't have the experience offshore, but I think you will be pleasantly surprised when these workers become part of the team and start building them. They're going to take this to a new level, in my opinion, that the world has not seen yet, with good American workers who use that ingenuity that we've been doing for years and improve these installations. I think you'll be shocked, pleasantly shocked. So working together with that Bay State Wind program, with the training that our people already have, I think you'll see more efficiency in this industry as it matures in the United States, being New Bedford, being the Eastern Seaboard. We hope that this is a hub for future development that spreads from here. On a side note, I didn't realize this district had such great representation. I never met the mayor, but enjoyed his comments. Certainly I know the congressman, and Rep. Cabral may not remember, about 15 years ago, it was an IBW issue, and he stood with us, the only state rep that stood with us, as the arms were being twisted and elbows were being thrown. But thank you, Representative. That was about 15 years ago, and I'll never forget it. So thank you very much. So we're excited about this, and as it moves forward. And I know all three organizations are looking forward to teaming up and partnering with the development team and just bringing the best installation that we can and giving back to the community. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the invite and the able to speak. So take care.
Thank you, Mike. We very much appreciate your support. I'd now like to ask Anthony Ucci from Bristol Community College to come up, please.
Morning, everyone. I'm very proud to be here representing BCC at this exciting announcement and this launch of this very exciting partnership. For 50 years, Bristol Community College has been a leading trainer for technical skills in southeastern Massachusetts. And over a decade ago, we received a National Science Foundation grant and then a Mass Clean Energy grant to develop offshore wind training. And we actually have about 10-year history, including running courses right here in New Bedford. This is, of course, to support the onshore wind industry. We had hoped that the offshore wind industry would have started a little sooner, but it's here now, coming down the pike, and we're really glad to be here and ready to go with it. Last year, we established the first degree program in offshore wind power and a certificate as well. As far as we know, it's the first in the United States. And we're very pleased to continue this educational effort along with our partners at Mass Maritime and at UMass Dartmouth and SMAST. It's a great opportunity to educate our local workforce for these fantastic jobs that should be here very soon. We're also extremely pleased to be working with Bay State Wind, Ørsted and Eversource, the Utility Workers of America, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and the International Association of Iron Workers and Power for America. This is a historic partnership, and Bristol is very pleased to be at the table and be there to provide the type of training needed for this industry. Now, the wind energy workforce training program that's envisioned is designed to provide the skills necessary for development, construction, operation, and long-term maintenance of all the facilities associated with offshore wind. So we are really looking to provide a comprehensive training program to take the skilled workers that are already here and take them to the next level in terms of taking them essentially offshore. The establishment of a state-of-the-art offshore wind training center right here in New Bedford is extremely exciting, something that we need. It would be the first in the United States, and we're really hoping that this will be the type of facility that not only will be good for our region, but will be a draw for up and down the East Coast. The fact is there's projects north and south of us, and we want to stake our claim as the center for offshore wind training and the offshore wind industry right here in New Bedford. We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Bay State Wind. as part of their bid, they have an agreement in there to fund BCC's first endowed faculty position. This would be an offshore wind faculty member. We're very excited and very pleased to have this, and I want to thank Bay State Wind for this really generous offer. And lastly, want to make sure we thank Mayor Mitchell, Representative Cabral, and all the members of the South Coast legislative delegation and our other officials for the foresight and the vision that has really placed us in this position. Without the investment in infrastructure and education and all the hard work of the many people in this room, we wouldn't be in this position today. So the fact that we're here is wonderful. The fact that the future is as bright as it is wonderful. And I want to thank everyone for their support, and really pleased to have Bristol Community College heavily involved in this activity. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd now like to ask Elizabeth Stevenson from Mass Maritime to come up.
Thank you, Lauren. As was already mentioned by Lauren and all of our other speakers, the Massachusetts Maritime Academy is pleased to be part of and partnering on such an exciting project. We look forward to all the opportunities that lie ahead, and we really thank everyone in the audience, in the room, and that's involved with the entire project for all the opportunities we have. So thank you.
All right, and last but not least, Phil Trombley. He's been waiting for this moment.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay. Well, I guess they let the kid that grew up on Brock Avenue and played at Hazelwood Park and Lot 13 here in New Bedford to bet cleanup. And so it's been quite a journey. It took a lot of people's support to get to this point today with an offshore wind training agreement. I guess we all should know by now that clean energy is definitely the industry of the future. I'd like to thank National President Mike Langford and his e-board for the utility workers for getting me to leave retirement to lead this great adventure into offshore wind and training with my friend Senior National Representative Dan Hurley and Local 369 President and National Executive Board member Craig Pinkham. Thank you, guys. It started pretty much with lunch at M&C's on Belleville Avenue with Paul Vigent from BCC. I guess we call him the master of all things wind. It was academia meets the Utility Workers Power for America Physical, Technical, and Rescue Training Trust. And we became instant friends. Maybe it's because we're both dreamers from the 60s. But once it was official that I was working for the union again, it was a handshake with Paul and a joint commitment to try and develop our country's first offshore wind training center in New Bedford. And then the quest began for support. As Tony said, quiet support. The first total amount of support I got from my friend, Mayor Jon Mitchell and his staff. And then the New Bedford congressional delegation, with special thanks to Bill Keating and his team, Mike Jackman, Ian, of course, Liz and Glenda. Then the state delegation with Tony Cabral and Speaker Pro Tem Patricia Haddad, who helped all along the way. The Port Authority, Ed Washburn and Pam. And then the New Bedford Economic Development Council with Executive Director Derek Santos, who's a real professional with street smarts. I think today they call that street creds. But he knows everything that's going on. He's a good guy to know. We also got the support of the top 3 national environmental groups, the Blue-Green Alliance, who was going to have someone here, Mike Williams, a good friend, has been with us all along. He had a child care issue this morning, so he couldn't show up. The National Wildlife Federation and the Sierra Club. We also had the support of the Danish Electrical Workers Union in Europe. But the support of the people in the neighborhoods of the city really kept us going and told us not to give up, even when things went sideways, which they did a few times. And then last October, we had our first of many meetings with Bay State Wind to discuss training and operations and maintenance work in New Bedford. Don't misunderstand this. They are the only developer to step up and offer serious discussions on our concerns for the workers and the future of the city. All parties have been very busy working on this, and in February, I was honored to be invited by Her Majesty's government to attend a trade mission in the United Kingdom along with Neil Mello, the Mayor's Chief of Staff, and my friend Laura Douglas, the President of Bristol Community College, along with 7 others representing the United States from North Carolina, New Jersey, Rhode Island, New York, and Maryland. We went to see the impact of offshore wind training and the economic development in the cities of Grimsby and Hull, which is the sister city to New Bedford. Here is where you see how Ørsted invested $8 billion into their economy there. They have 27% of the world's market share of offshore wind. We are 100% confident that Bay State Wind is not only best positioned to deliver clean power for the homes and businesses of Massachusetts on time and at a good price, but also to develop the local workforce needed for this brand new industry here in the United States. These people know what they're doing. And in our talks all along, I've explained how things work here in America, and the relationships between employers and employees are so critical for long-term success, and that we have a very small window of opportunity to be the first ones to make this happen in the country. I even went so far as to quote Albert Pike from the 1800s, "What we have done for ourselves alone dies with us. What we have done for others and for the world remains and is immortal." This training center is just that. It will provide a future in New Bedford. It will raise many people up to the middle class with good union jobs. It'll boost the economy with earnings and spending. It'll provide work for our post-9/11 veterans. And it will raise the standard of living for the citizens of Greater New Bedford and the South Coast. All good things for the region and the state of Massachusetts. So, on behalf of the Utility Workers Union of America, I'd like to thank Bay State Wind and their team, Fred Zalkman, Mark Reed, Chris Hall, Bill Quinlan, Ken Bowes, Lauren Berm, Craig Dutra, Dennis Galvin, and Bob Unger. These are the people we have been meeting with all along to get this done. And I'd also like to thank the IBW, Mike, the Iron Workers, Sean, of course BCC, Paul, who's not here, and I'll get him for that, Anthony, Jen, and Laura, and Mass Maritime for partnering with this project to make it happen. You know, we have a chance to change the world right here in New Bedford, and that's pretty cool. It's really cool. Now we just got to hope that Bay State Wind wins the bid. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you, Phil. And on behalf of Bay State Wind, I want to thank everyone for coming today. I think today is a first step in the right direction for bringing offshore wind not only to the East Coast, but to New Bedford, and we're very excited about that. And again, thank you everyone for coming, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks.